On Saturday, President Trump made a triumphant return to the campaign trail after several weeks of being sidelined by the AstroTurf Stormy Daniels hush money court case in New York City. While Joe Biden was spending Mother's Day weekend relaxing on the beach, President Trump drew a record crowd of over 80,000 loyal supporters to his Wildwood, New Jersey rally. The contrast between these two candidates could not be more stark. In Donald Trump, we see a man totally reinvigorated, determined to take back the White House in November, and also inspired to get back to work saving this nation. His base of support appears to be totally galvanized by the weaponized lawfare against him and his family, with poll numbers overwhelmingly in his favor and energy not seen since 2016. On the other hand is Joe Biden, who by all accounts appears to be a tired and confused geriatric. No one is under the impression that Joe Biden is actually running the country. You see, that task has clearly fallen to Barack Hussein Obama, Kamala Harris, and the rest of the Obama-era upper-level bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. While Trump is filling massive venues to the brim, Biden struggles to get noticed at a fast food restaurant and is greeted with chants of "fuck Joe Biden" from both sides of the political aisle everywhere he goes, including college campuses. Trump's massive New Jersey rally comes on the wave of news that he continues to lead comfortably in many key swing states. Ohio, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia are all polling at a 5 percentage point advantage for President Trump. Even in Pennsylvania, which is expected to be extremely close and was the crown jewel of Trump's decisive victory in 2016, Trump is currently leading Joe Biden by 3 percentage points. With margins like this, you have to ask yourself, is Joe Biden even trying? Well, what's trying for a dementia patient, right? Normal campaigns would be sounding the alarm bells over polling like this, hitting the ground immediately to try to eliminate those margins. Yet the Biden camp has remained mostly dormant. Now, whether they're ready or not, the election is only 6 months away, and this summer is going to fly by in a hurry. The year has already flown by. Now it's just a sprint to the finish line. Perhaps Team Biden is content to rely on outside help to neutralize Trump before the election arrives, similar to the way they relied on big tech censorship and the FBI to rig the 2020 presidential election. The trial underway in New York, under the jurisdiction of Judge Juan Merchan, has been actively working to restrict President Trump in every possible way. From gag orders to threats of tossing him in jail, there is no level that the deep state isn't willing to sink to. Lawfare, as we've covered extensively on this show many times, is intentionally directed at Trump to absorb as much of his time, his money, and energy as possible. It is being coordinated by a network of deep state and Democrat political operatives. Judge Merchan is a perfect example of this. A few weeks ago, I exposed the fact that Merchan's daughter, Lauren, runs a Democrat campaign firm called Authentic Campaigns. Lauren's firm has done work for many major players in the Democrat Party, including the Biden-Harris campaign, Adam Schiff, and the Senate Majority PAC for the Democrats. My reporting on this raised eyebrows, even in the mainstream liberal media, with many of the hosts engaging in Twitter fights with me, calling me crazy and telling me that I was a conspiracy theorist. But now you have everybody from Mike Johnson and President Trump himself talking about my reporting from the steps of the Manhattan courthouse every single day as we've now entered week 4. It is such a shocking example of corruption and the conflict of interest that has made this trial inappropriate from the beginning. How can Juan Merchan possibly deliver a fair ruling when the man in his courtroom is directly competing with his daughter's clients for control of the country? That level of implicit and explicit bias cannot just be ignored. More proof of this conflict of interest came in the wake of President Trump's historic rally in Wildwood, New Jersey this weekend. You see Democrat New Jersey Congresswoman Mickey Sherrill, a Democrat, again, of course, because it's always a Democrat, reacted to President Trump's massive crowd of supporters in her state by posting a tweet in which she said that President Trump was not welcome in New Jersey, and she told him to, quote, "go back to court." You will be shocked to find out that she, too, employs Judge Merchan's daughter, as I exposed this weekend, and has shelled out over $216,000 for her campaign consulting services. And that's just in the last 9 months alone. You see, this is cut and dry election interference. Democrats are allowed to trash President Trump. The judge's daughter's making millions of dollars off of it. And for years, you see, we were subjected to hearing all about how the Russians supposedly interfered in the 2016 presidential election on Trump's behalf. That all, of course, turned out to be totally false and was the biggest conspiracy theory ever promoted in the history of our country. Now, however, we are seeing what actual election interference looks like, on top of what we saw in 2020, of course, with the rigging of the 2020 election by big tech and the FBI. Yeah, Hunter Biden laptop story. Ever heard about that? Shh. Russian propaganda, according to the CIA and FBI. Not allowed to talk about that. This is a coordinated effort from a clandestine web of interconnected Democrats and bureaucrats to prevent MAGA from ever getting near power in this country ever again. Fortunately, it is not working, at least so far. Despite everything they have thrown at President Trump, at us, MAGA has been totally reinvigorated. We have awoken to the corruption in every level of our federal government. We are awake. We have recognized the lawfare organized against President Trump, and we have circled the wagons around him in our response. Our energy and our conviction has returned to 2016 levels, as indicated in polling all across the nation. But we cannot become complacent simply because Trump is leading in the polls and surviving his court hearings. The pressure against him is only going to ramp up as November nears. These are pivotal 6 months ahead of us. As desperation mode sets in, the Dems will simply push harder, and they will become even more diabolical in their efforts to steal the 2024 presidential election. They will pursue stranger and even more radical options to stop President Trump, and they might even try to assassinate him. Moreover, while these swing state polls are looking great, there is always room for improvement. So, President Trump's campaign must focus on expanding these leads and shoring up his base as Trump continues to bulldoze every single day of his show trial.